the love for weed turned into something very dark. I started to feel very afraid. Fear was just over consuming my life. And there was moments where I would say I was feeling like demons were actually touching me. In the freshman year, weed has been introduced to my life, and I am now in love with weed. And it grew and grew and grew. I started listening to Wiz Khalifa.
That'll do it for you.
Yeah, because I was seeing it started. It was the devil was really brewing this. Like, because I was the kid that was like, I'm never smoking weed. I don't need drugs. I started watching Wiz Khalifa because there was people that I knew that was telling me like, hey, he's cool and all of this. So I would go on YouTube. He has like a whole long vlog series of years of vlogs. And I was just over the summer just watching it and ingesting it. Just really oh man, this lifestyle is cool. It's cool. So when weed was actually introduced to me, I had the opportunity. It wasn't something I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. I gave it a shot. And when I gave it a shot,
it was over.
It was over. So for the next year and a half, I don't know how long it was, a year and a half or so, I was just giving it all. I was into weed. The following summer, after my freshman year, I finally met my she's my wife now, but she became my girlfriend then. And we enjoyed weed and each other together. Mm-hmm. I would say weed even enhanced some of our experiences that we had. It made us feel even closer and connected to one another. I thank God that we still are close without the weed.
Yeah.
But I don't know, we did something and it was just something special to me. So try to speed this up to get to the point where everything changed. Eventually, the love for weed turned into something very dark. I started to feel very afraid. Fear was just over consuming my life. And there was moments where I would say I was feeling like demons were actually touching me. Like I had this hat on my head. This is where it started. I had this hat on my head. We were walking and it just felt like something was just doing this to my head. And it was freaking me out.
Dang.
Like me and my wife, we had just finished smoking and we were walking back to UNCG and this hat was it just felt like something was touching my head and it was grabbing it. It was freaking me out.
Dang.
And then when I tried to speak to my wife, it felt like my neck was just not hard, but just like subtly being gripped, like where I couldn't speak. I was trying to like really get her attention. She was in front of me and I was like trying to speak and no sound came out whatsoever. Wow. So for somebody who's already afraid, that's terrifying. Yeah. Like, oh my goodness, something's happening to me and no one knows but me. So I tell her eventually when she turns around, my voice eventually comes back. And I'm telling her like everything that just happened. And she's like, you know what? We're not smoking weed no more. So I was like, cool, yeah, we're not doing this no more. We done. A week or two later, started back again, and still dabbling in fear, but it wasn't as bad. And to make it all worse, we were like really loving horror movies at that time, so it was just adding imagery to what was already happening to me. To get to the point where everything changed, I was dealing with fear heavy. I started back feeling like things were touching me, and you know, it would just be random moments. I'd be by myself. I'd be with my wife. It would just be random. And it got to this point where I was just tired of being afraid. Like I would literally try to get up and run and just go outside. And it wouldn't change because it was directly connected to me. Yeah. It wasn't a location. It wasn't any of that. It was me. So my wife was like, you know what? You should call your granddad. And the significance of my granddad is he is an elder at a church or a deacon or I don't know what other words people have for that, but he's that category at a church. And he
so sorry there. There are a group of toddlers outside this podcast studio.
Hey, love the kids though. Yeah. But so he came and picked me up. We sat in the parking lot at Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A, shout out to Chick-fil-A. And he told me the gospel. He told me and explained to me that, hey, the things I was doing in my life had invited this activity, this demonic activity. And he told me how Jesus had died for my sins, how he loves me, all of that, like the full picture. We just sat in the car and talked for a minute. And as he was talking, my faith was just budding. Like I was finally believing in what he was saying. And it was almost like because it was nighttime, but it was almost like the whole car just lit up. Like the Spirit of God just came and just indwelt me. Like I felt it. Wow. And ever since that night, everything has been different.